Here is something nobody tells you. Every decision you made today, what you ate, how you responded to that message, whether you went to the gym or skipped it, you think those were your choices. You think you were in control. You were not. You were following a program, a deeply embedded, carefully installed set of instructions that has been running inside your mind for years, maybe decades. And the most unsettling part? You did not write it. Think about the last time you tried to change something about yourself. Maybe it was your diet. Maybe it was waking up earlier. Maybe it was finally going after something you always wanted. You started strong. You felt motivated. And then somewhere, quietly, without warning, you drifted back to the old habits, back to the old patterns, back to who you have always been. Most people call that laziness, or lack of discipline, or weak willpower. That is wrong. What actually happened is your brain did exactly what it was programmed to do. It protected the identity that was installed inside you. And until you understand how that program got there, and who put it there, you will keep hitting that invisible wall. So today we're going to go deep. We're going to look at exactly how your identity was built without your permission, why it controls far more than you realize, and most importantly, how you take it back. Let's start at the beginning. You were not born with a fixed identity. You were born completely open, a blank system, no labels, no limits, no definition of who you were supposed to be. But the world around you got to work immediately. Your parents told you things, some intentionally, some without even realizing it. You are the shy one. You are not good at math. You are just like your father. You are so sensitive. And your young brain, which was desperately trying to make sense of the world, accepted those statements as facts, not opinions. Facts. Then came school. Teachers labeled you. Report cards defined you. Other kids sorted you into categories. The smart one, the funny one, the quiet one, the troublemaker. And because human beings are deeply social creatures, you absorb those labels to fit in, to survive, to belong. Then came culture, media, social circles, all of it whispering, constantly, who you should be, what success looks like, what kind of person is worthy of respect, love, and belonging. By the time you were a teenager, the program was already deeply installed. And here's the critical part most people miss. You did not choose any of it consciously. It was written into you through repetition, through emotional experiences, through the people who had influence over you at your most vulnerable and impressionable moments. So when you struggle to change today, you are not fighting laziness. You are fighting a program that was built by dozens of people over many years. That is a very different problem, and it requires a very different solution. I want you to imagine your identity as a thermostat, not a goal, not a wish, a thermostat. It is set to a specific temperature. And that temperature represents what you believe you deserve, what feels normal to you, and what your brain considers safe. Maybe your thermostat is set to a certain level of income, a certain level of confidence, a certain quality of relationships. It is not about what you want. It is about what feels familiar. Now, here is where it gets interesting. When life drops below that temperature, when things get really hard, when you hit rock bottom, something inside you activates. A drive kicks in. A fire starts. You say enough. You push back up toward where you belong. Most people have experienced this. That moment where pain becomes the fuel for change. But here's the side nobody talks about. What happens when things go above your set temperature? You start doing well. Really well. Things are clicking. Momentum is building. Life is going better than you expected. And then, quietly, the brakes come on. You start making small mistakes. You self-sabotage without knowing why. You pull back. You overthink. You suddenly feel uncomfortable with your own success. That is not weakness. That is your thermostat doing its job. Your brain looked at where you were heading and said, "This is not familiar. This is not safe. Get back to where you belong." And so you do, every single time, until you reset the thermostat. The goal is never just to change your behavior. The goal is to change the temperature your brain considers normal. Everything else follows from that. Now let's talk about the most dangerous two words in the human language. I am. Whatever follows those two words becomes a command your brain will spend its entire energy fulfilling. Not sometimes. Every time, without exception. I am bad with money. I am not a morning person. I am someone who always struggles with their weight. I am just an anxious person. Every single one of those statements is not a description. It is an instruction, and your brain treats it like one. Here is a powerful example. Think about someone who smokes cigarettes. You offer them one and they say, "No thanks, I do not smoke. Not I am trying to quit. Not I am cutting back." They say I do not smoke. That identity statement is a wall. It does not require willpower in that moment because the decision was already made at the identity level. Now flip that. Think about someone who says, "I am trying to quit smoking." Every time a cigarette appears, they have to make a brand new decision. They have to fight. They have to use willpower, and willpower runs out. The difference between these two people is not discipline. It is identity. This is also why labels can become traps. When someone accepts a label, whether it is a diagnosis, a reputation, a role, their behavior begins to organize around that label automatically. The label sets the thermostat, and now all their energy goes into being consistent with it rather than growing beyond it. The most powerful thing you can do is audit the I am statements running in the background of your mind, because they are running right now, whether you are aware of them or not. So how do you actually change it? Here is the mechanism, and it is simpler than you think. Identity changes through small committed agreements, not through motivation, not through inspiration, and not through big dramatic decisions. Through small agreements that stack. Step 1. You identify the identity you want to build. Not a goal, an identity. Not I want to get fit. I am someone who takes their health seriously. Not I want to make more money. I am someone who builds financial discipline daily. The language shift matters enormously. Step 2. You make a tiny public or private commitment that aligns with that identity. It does not have to be big. In fact, smaller is better in the beginning. Go to the gym for 15 minutes, not an hour, 15 minutes. Because the goal is not the workout. The goal is the evidence. Every time you follow through, your brain collects a vote that says, "This is who I am." Step 3. You stack those votes. 1 becomes 2. 2 becomes 5. 5 becomes a pattern. And patterns become identity. This is why people who say, "I am going to completely overhaul my life starting Monday," almost always fail. They are trying to skip the stacking process. They want the identity without laying the foundation. But someone who says, "I'm the kind of person who does small things consistently," and then proves it to themselves daily, that person becomes unstoppable. Not because they have more willpower, because they have a new program running. Your brain will always work to stay consistent with who it believes you are. So give it a better version of you to stay consistent with. Here is your daily practice. Simple, effective, immediate. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you do anything, say 3 I am statements out loud. Statements that reflect who you are becoming, not who you wish you were, who you are deciding to be. Then do one small action that proves it before the day is an hour old. That is it. It sounds almost too simple. But understand what you are actually doing. You are giving your brain a new temperature to protect. You are writing new code. And every small action that follows is your brain collecting evidence that this new identity is real. Over days, this feels minor. Over weeks, it feels different. Over months, it becomes who you are. The people around you will notice the shift before you do. Because identity changes from the inside out. The behavior changes first quietly, then loudly, then permanently. And the beautiful thing is that once the new identity is set, the effort disappears. You are no longer fighting to be a different person. You simply are that person. And being yourself requires no willpower at all. Here is what I need you to understand before you leave. The program is always running. Always. There is no off switch. The only question that actually matters is who is writing it. Right now, if you're not deliberately choosing your identity, someone else is choosing it for you. Your environment is choosing it. Your past is choosing it. Old experiences and borrowed opinions are choosing it. And you will keep living out that program on autopilot, making choices that feel free, but are anything but until the moment you decide to sit down and rewrite it yourself. That moment can be right now, not Monday, not after things calm down. Right now, pick one identity statement, make one small commitment, stack one piece of evidence. Because the person you are capable of becoming is not waiting for the right circumstances. They are waiting for you to decide who you are. And once you decide, truly decide, your brain will spend every ounce of its considerable power making sure you become exactly that. That is not motivation. That is not a pep talk. That is how the program works. Now, go write yours. If this hit differently than you expected, share it with one person who needs to hear it. And if you're not subscribed yet, take a second to do that now. This is the kind of content I put out every week. Stay sharp. I will see you in the next one.